On the 12th of August 1914, Paul von Lettow-Vorbeck ordered his forces to capture a valuable sally point, thus starting the German invasion of British East Africa. Captain von Prince was commanded to take a British town called Taveta, whose position lay 25 miles from German Moshi and 75 miles from British Voi. He had at his disposal a mixed force: 2 companies of Askari Schutztruppen, 1 company of police Askari from Moshi, and a force of white European settlers. Vorbeck had been plagued with bad intel of the area from Moshi to Taveta, but he knew action was required quickly, so Taveta could not become a base of British operations. Von Prince assigned the invading column of 300 men to be made up of a mixture of 1st Feldkompanie of the Schutztruppen and a detachment of European settlers to be commanded by Oberleutnant Boll. This column was guided by a former cavalry officer, Oberst von Brock. Von Brock had been a cavalry officer before retiring to East Africa and starting his own farm. The German attempts at reconnaissance are strangely minor, and one author describes the German European settlers as gathering food and beer for a great picnic. Von Prince dispatched a runner to demand the surrender of Taveta on the 14th of August, but neither the runner nor the message arrived to Taveta, nor are they ever mentioned again. The only German reconnaissance recorded is a native African spying on Taveta the night before. More on that later. But the British weren't totally unprepared. The British Commissioner of Taveta, Mr. Lafontaine, was well apprised of the war in Europe on the 4th of August, and on the 5th of August was instructed by Governor Belfield on what to do. No more fraternizing with the Germans, and defenses were to be made. By the 10th of August, the town of Taveta's Boma, a government building, had been sandbagged in key spots by Lafontaine and his 22 police Askari. In the days leading up to the invasion, trusted runners informed him of the German settlers being armed and organized to march. When not filling sandbags, he trained his Askaris in rifle drill and deployment. He also had one of his Askaris deploy a cache of water in case of retreat into the Serengeti plain towards the town of British Voi. The night before the 15th of August, a German spy was caught by Lafontaine's men. The spy, having performed reconnaissance on the British positions and defenses, he was able to escape on the morning of the 15th of August, just as the invading German column began its march, 3 days after Vorbeck had ordered them to. This quick march was delayed at a British border post where Corporal Emiri Imwati was killed so a comrade could escape and inform Mr. Lafontaine of the invasion. Corporal Imwati is the first recorded British casualty of the invasion. By 3 a.m. in Taveta, the men rang the alarm due to gunshots being heard in the distance. The corporal's comrade arrived soon after to confirm the invasion. The survivor let Mr. Lafontaine know the Germans had changed from column into open order. Mr. Lafontaine had his men take up positions in the sandbag Boma building. At 5:30 a.m., just before dawn, Mr. Lafontaine could make out the first wave of Germans approaching the government building. He recorded some 40 troops, double that of his number. Among this first wave, atop a mule, was Herr Broker, a forester by trade, now leading German forces to attack the sandbagged government building. Mr. Lafontaine leveled his .375 Webley & Scott rifle on the mule-mounted German. The morning quiet was cut short by Mr. Lafontaine shooting Herr Broker off his mule. This was followed by the British police Askari firing their volley into the Germans approaching. In the confusion, the Germans failed to advance or cause further harm to the British. Mr. Lafontaine was able to withdraw, and at the double quick marched 20 miles to Maktau without losing another man. It wasn't until the afternoon that Oberst von Brock was able to organize another assault on the undefended Boma, and Herr Broker's wounds were tended to. Herr Broker died shortly after, making him the first recorded German casualty of the invasion. Taveta was the first action of the German invasion of British East Africa. While the British did withdraw, a myth of a more organized German menace raked the British papers, while the German papers celebrated the victory. But in reality, the German advance had taken 3 days to accomplish its initial advance, and Vorbeck in his book laments the lack of further intel gained prior to the invasion and after Taveta was captured, that his forces needed further experience and discipline. Meanwhile, the British small police force, which numerically speaking shouldn't have survived, had shown the British were more disciplined and able to follow orders.